Brinda Dige with me on the broadcast. Uh, Ma'am, of course, a very, very disturbing case where a 6-year-old girl has been attacked, and what we've also seen is that the attackers are kids themselves aged between 8 to 14. Now, what the victim's mother has stated, she's advocated for counseling for the perpetrators who are minors themselves. But do you think that such an approach addresses the root causes of the problem, or is a more comprehensive solution needed to combat such racism and xenophobia that we're witnessing in children this young? So, and if there is a more comprehensive solution, what could that entail?
No, like you mentioned, a comprehensive solution is the only way that is going to ensure that something like this does not repeat itself, and not by children on children, because it is a child rights violation, but again by children. It's a human rights violation by children. And somewhere down the line, it's a lot of bullying. So we will call it racism because that's what the law might be there, but it is bullying. And bullying can be something that is serious, that can be taken up by the municipal councils or the mayors, and that is important depending on the laws that Ireland has. Now, that said, we need to also look at what Mr. Sachdev pointed out, the right-wing perspectives and the right-wing thinking. And the Irish municipality or the police have not yet looked at it as a hate crime. Because it is children, they are not looking at it as a hate crime. But it is a hate crime, it is bullying, because there is this talk happening in their homes and in their schools. And this kind of talk or this kind of regular behavior, which has probably been allowed to slip through and not given a lot of attention, might also be because of political patronage. So this kind of patronage nobody is questioning, and we know world over, including our countries also, we have this kind of right-wing thinking where they believe that certain people have encroached, taken away their jobs, taken away their resources, and this talk is unacceptable because there is a lot of contribution that migrant people and labor have given to their respective economies. And that means the government and the state has a huge role in changing this perspective and putting forward this picture that migrants who come into the country or into the city have contributed this much. So they need to put out data, but they also need to put out saying that the migrants who might have come 10, 15, 20 years ago are today Irish citizens. And under that Irish law and constitution have that equal rights and equal freedom. Freedom to speak a language they want, to pray to whoever they want, and dress in an attire that they want. So we want to look at the state powers and what is the Irish state power doing. Because we might say, yes, she was beaten, it was a hate crime, but it is against another citizen who is culturally different from them, whose language may be different, but she and her family are citizens of that nation. So the state has to look at it like that and not simply, palm it off and say, yeah, hate crimes are happening. These are bullies, hate crime, bigoted crime, because they may be citizens of Ireland, but may be following a different religion. So it could also be bigoted. And that is why the state has a very, very strong role. And like Mr. Sachdev pointed out, probably our diplomat and the embassy over there cannot do much, might raise concern and might raise their voice, but all of them, the police as well as the victim survivor, have the same laws and rights that has to be looked at. So if the police have not yet looked at it as a hate crime, what do the police want to look at it? They can't palm it off and say that, children were playing and children were doing this. There is a background and a history to why those children behaved in that manner. So the state has to take responsibility for something like this, putting a child citizen's life in danger, because they are not willing to come out and speak loudly about this being a child rights and a human rights violation, a violation against a citizen of their nation. It has to be looked at like that. Let's not only say that, she's of Indian origin, so we have to now talk and debate and make a huge noise. Of course we should. It's a child, it's a human rights violation, a child rights violation, but she is a citizen of the Irish nation. So that is their first and big responsibility. So the state of Ireland must step in and ensure that people belonging to different cultures and different origins are not singled out, are not targeted, and hate crimes are not perpetuated on them. And it is not simply racial. It is a violation of also their own constitutional guarantees that they give to the citizen. So it's not simply a racial or a hate crime or a bigoted crime. It's much bigger than that. And the state of Ireland must be held accountable for something like this.
Well, ma'am, of course, very pertinent points raised.